Just a word before we start the show today. It seems that Kev's team of highly trained tech ferrets weren't pulling the string taut enough that joins our listening cups together when the show was recorded. So, apologies for the sound quality in today's podcast. We've had a word with the powers that be, who are in charge of the long piece of string that goes between Malmesbury and Newbury, and we think it might have been snagged by an old sock, probably one of Kev's. We're working on a new piece of string for 2026, so all should be back to normal soon. Hopefully, it won't spoil your listening pleasure. Oh, and also, halfway through the show today, a very special tribute to an absolute legend.
The FujiCast is an independent Loading Zone production.
It's the last show before Christmas, Kev, and then we're taking a few weeks off, coming back in January. Will you be fit enough in the first couple of weeks of January? I don't know how much you're going to be partying over the New Year. Since on the pop-up you said you want a lot of whiskey, I'm thinking you might be in the corner looking a bit worse.
Did you say fit enough or fat enough?
Fit enough, Kev.
Yeah, probably not. Be fat enough.
Well, it depends how much you consume over Christmas. Are you staying in for Christmas? Are you doing everything in Malmesbury Towers?
No.
Oh.
We are going Christmas Day. We're going to Gemma's sisters, and then we'll come back Christmas night though.
You're going to the posh house then, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah. I like going away for Christmas dinner because then you don't have to buy it.
Okay, you're such a Scrooge.
The FujiCast.
A little bit of pain for a lot of gain.
I hope they don't listen. They won't listen, will they? I don't think it's their sort of thing, this, is it, really? Enjoy it. Well, do you, so they do everything, all the trimmings, everything that you want, and Kev sort of, you just sit in the corner and look like Jabba the Hutt.
Actually, we haven't been there for a while. We went to Gemma's mum's last year, so she paid for it. This year we're there at the sister's house, and the good thing is that we've got such a small house that we can never return the offers. So, brilliant.
Blimey, Kev.
Yes.
I think you've got it. The Mullins have it sorted. Everything in your life is sorted. Well, welcome to the FujiCast. You and your questions sent in to Mr. Scrooge via Facebook or to click at fujicast.co.uk. How is the inbox looking for your Facebook questions, Kev?
Right at the minute, yeah. But I want to just, you briefly mentioned the pop-up show, and I just want to say thank you to a few people that have signed up to the Patreon very recently. A couple more of them, Tony Gorham, Jeff Petrie, Igor Baranov, Kim Camilleri, and Adrian Jackson. So thank you very much. If you are interested in becoming a patron, or the price of a coffee or whatever it is, you get 2 extra shows a month. Short shows, but 2 extra shows.
Perfect.
Anyway, yes, back to Facebook. You can go to facebook.com, ignore all of the stuff. I saw a post on there actually as I was looking at the questions earlier, and it was a thing came up and it said, social media is not social anymore. It's just media.
Well, ain't
I
that?
remember what I always used to say. Remember the social
media. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Ignore all of the stuff on your normal Facebook and go straight to the FujiCast Facebook group. And there is a thread at the top that says questions for the show 2025. I really have to change it now. I've been saying that for a while, but I'm going to have to change it.
If you weren't in any way a professional, I don't know, what do you do now, Kev? What's your job? I'm trying to work out what your job is. No, I'm still a photographer. Yeah. I've done quite a bit of photography. Yeah, I'm teasing. If you weren't a professional
ducker and diverer, that's what I am now. I'm a duckerer and diverer.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, if you weren't a Del boy in waiting, would you get rid of all your social media? Would you be interested in keeping your social media?
That's a really tricky one because I would like to stay. If I could press a button, it basically automatically. This is probably something that will come with AI. Automatically said, these are your really good friends that you physically met in real life and you know them, and then everything else just went away, then I would probably do that. Yeah. That's really it. But yeah, I mean, for most of us, social media is becoming a bit of a challenge, isn't it, with being stuff thrown at you all the time, but it does have its benefits in that you can keep in touch. I went to London last week or the week before to catch up with some people that I hadn't seen in about 25 years, and that was all kind of through the power of Facebook. Agree?
So all through the power of Facebook. So what did you do? Sit in different pubs and Facebook each other?
No, like we messaged, it was like, oh, hello, how are you? Blah, blah, blah.
I'm in the Nag's Head over in Covent Garden. Where are you? I'm at the Lamb and Flag. Oh, that's...
I was in Waxy's little sister.
Oh, were you? Very nice. For those that don't know, it's a pub. Right. Questions. Where should we start? Do you want to start on Facebook?
Yeah, I'll go first.
We've got a book this week, haven't we? So we'll do a book shortly. What's the book?
The book is actually, you know Mark Seymour, don't you? It's Layers of India.
Very nice, Kev. Right. Question. You're starting with Facebook.
So we've had one that's just literally come in. Brian Goldsmith, he's not inviting you to this question. He says, hi, Kevin.
I'm not invited.
Yeah, but it's quite specific. Do you shoot your black and white photos in camera or in colour and change in the edit?
Right, well, I'll sit this one out then, like somebody who's not involved in the dancing at a school disco.
Okay, so the answer to that is actually a little bit more complicated than a simple yes or no. So I always have my cameras set to black and white mode. So I always see through the camera in black and white if I'm using an electronic viewfinder. Always, 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 regardless. Even when I'm doing the studio stuff here in the studio, I'm seeing through the viewfinder in black and white. However, I shoot RAW. And so the RAW files, obviously natively, are color. And then I edit them in Lightroom as I so wish. See in black and white, edit in color.
If you were seeing in colour, then would it be a disadvantage to you now? I suppose you've got used to.
I think it would to me now. Obviously, it's a personal thing, but I love to be able to see the shadows and the highlights, and because a lot of my work is based around that contrast. So it just helps me. I've been doing it for a long, long time now, and obviously you could shoot in colour, but I just feel, for me at least, shadows, highlights drive most of the editing choices. Even if I'm editing in colour, I just prefer working that way.
I wonder what it would be like to go back to a DSLR and using just ground glass to look through.
Yeah, or an optical viewfinder on the X100 or X Pro. Yeah. So I actually spent an hour on the phone with a lovely lady from America yesterday, talking to her about optical viewfinders and electronic viewfinders.
Right. What was the reason for that? What was she hoping to achieve?
She just wanted an hour's session on setting her X100 VI up as best as possible. So we hopped on a call and we spent plenty of time talking about the optical and the electronic viewfinder. And it's not an easy thing to explain, showing, pulling the lever and everything. It's quite a difficult thing to explain. So, but yeah, anyway.
I don't think I've ever really used the optical viewfinder with my X100s at all. I think I may have dallianced with it a couple of times, but I've never, it's not something I've ever chosen to use.
It's quite nice. I wouldn't say I use it regularly, very infrequently, in fact, but I do sometimes pop it on. It's quicker. It's quicker to use because there's no jiggery pokery going on the screen, and you get the frame lines, so you can kind of see what's coming into the frame and everything. I think we've all got used to, seeing the focus box, and if you use face detection, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's not for everybody. And I do wonder if somewhere down the line, they remove the optical viewfinder from the cameras at some point.
Ooh, that would be controversial.
Yeah, it would be controversial, but so is the X-half.
Yeah. Michael Dick wrote in. Do you remember he had an email in the last show? But I want to read this now because of the way it ends. This is not a question, it's a thank you. There I was, out jogging on a wet and miserable Monday, AirPods in, listening to the Fujicast. I was hoping I'm going to start that in the new year, Kev.
Yes, me too.
New year 2028. I would like to. Sorry, I'll come back to your question or your email in a minute, Michael. I met somebody the other day at a wedding. He was the second shooter for the video team. And he was talking about how he started. He said the pounds. He looked at my tummy as he said it, Kev. He said, when my pounds started coming back on, I started running. And he uses an app, and he downloaded it for me as if it was like, well, you've got no excuse now. I've downloaded the app. What's it called? Let me have a quick look. Runner, which is spelt by people who can't spell. RUNNA. And apparently it's a really good one, and it's a bit like Couch to 5K in that you can plan out ways to... You sound like you know it.
I know Couch to 5K. I don't know the runner one.
We should make a pack then, Kev.
I can't run.
Oh.
I used to love running. I run the London Marathon and everything. I used to stand on the treadmill and run 15 kilometers, quite a lot in the gym, but I can't do it now because of my illnesses.
Oh, all right, Kev.
Bad bones.
Bad what?
Bones.
I think it's bad bunions.
I might have. I've probably got them as well.
Oh, Kev, you're a walking disaster.
I can't actually see my feet anymore when I look down, so I don't know what on earth's going on down there. I might have a small little family of rabbits living down there. I don't know.
Kev, last time I saw you, because we do this on Zoom, but I don't recall. I thought you were looking quite trim, actually, Kev. I thought that Mullins is looking trim. I thought
I was for a while, but then I went untrimmed.
Christmas is not going to help, is it? Especially if you're going to other people's houses and eating the entire contents of their fridge. I was hoping you might mention the email, says Michael, about starting in wedding photography. As the episode went on, my hopes started to fade, and I resigned myself to the idea that I was either too dull to answer or something for another day. Oh, Michael! Then suddenly my ears pricked up. Did I hear that right? Neil, you called out my name. I have to say, I don't often write into podcasts, but hearing my own name and my question read out gave me a real lift. It even put a spring in my very soggy step. Thank you both for taking the time to read and answer every single part of my rather long multi-section question. No small achievement, considering Kevin sounded like he was battling an advanced case of man flu. Yes. You sound much better today. Kevin, thank you for staying awake, staying focused and answering each point. He wasn't really. I kept having to send 240 volts down the line just to wake him up. And Neil, thank you for guiding the whole thing to the end. I tell you what, I felt like a pilot of one of those boats bringing a big ship in. You genuinely made my day on an otherwise drab winter morning. Really appreciate the thoughtful and helpful replies. Kev, if you ever decide to devote more than 15 minutes a week to the business side of wedding photography, I would be the first in line to invest in your course.
Actually, the business course is coming, I promise. But yeah, it will be early next year.
You did say that you believe in the 15-minute working, wasn't it? I would have a 15-minute working week, because I pointed out that Tim Ferriss has a 4-hour one. You said that's far too much.
It's far too much, yeah.
Thank you both. Merry Christmas. Please keep the brilliant podcast coming. All the very best, Mike Dick. Well, you're very welcome, Mike. And I'm pleased you're out there running for both of us. Yeah, I didn't know you did the London Marathon. I'm impressed.
I did it in 1999.
What, hours?
I did it. I was quite reasonably happy with my time, actually. It was I can't remember what it was now, something like 4 hours and 40 minutes or something. But they take a picture of you running across the finish line. I'm sure we've said this before. I took a picture of you running across the finish line, and my picture is I'm just being pipped to the post by 2 massive rhinoceroses.
Yeah, I had a similar thing happen. I've not run a marathon. I take my hat off to you, Kev. Sam's run a marathon in Brighton. You've run a marathon in London. I've done a half marathon in Reading a long, long time ago. And I remember halfway through the course being overtaken by a great big, long caterpillar, fluffy caterpillar. And I was quite pissed off about that, to be honest. I thought, how dare you? Here I am running, and there's 12 of you or whatever underneath that stupidly big costume. You must be really overheating in there. They turned out to be paras. So, yeah, there we go. Give that to them. Right, okay. Question, Kev. Thank you, Michael, for that. You're very welcome.
Tom Flaherty has written in, says, please talk about using lossless compressed RAW files with the GFX 100. Internet research says quality is the same as uncompressed RAW. Storage savings is a lot with compressed. Your thoughts, Tom Flaherty, Houston, Texas, USA, Instagram. By the way, you can all do this if you want to write, when you write in. If you want to give us your Instagrammers things, then we will read them out. He's got 2, in fact, at TWF Stuff TX and at TWF Stuff TX .bw, which is the one I'm about to follow.
Black and white, obviously, that one.
Yeah,
right, okay.
Right now. So on most modern feature film cameras, you have 3 options. You have uncompressed, you have compressed and you have lossless compressed. And uncompressed is exactly as it says on the box, uncompressed, but much bigger files. Compressed are smaller files and compressed, but lossless compressed is even smaller and is actually lossless. So you won't, in fact, notice any difference in image quality between all three of those. And so I don't really know why they have compressed as an option. It should just be lossless compressed, should just be 2. And my understanding is the only reason that uncompressed is there is because at the beginning of camera life cycles, sensor life cycles, some of the software tools, Capture One, Lightroom, etc., can't quite read the new format of the RAW files in compressed format, so they have to give them a uncompressed version for them to kind of work all that out. And so, yeah, lossless compressed all the way, every day. Don't use any of the others. I can't think of any valid reason to use any of the others at all. The only other potential downside of a compressed file over an uncompressed is it probably takes a little bit longer for things like Lightroom and Capture One to render the previews, because it has to drag that out of a compressed file. But on the flip side, the images, the file sizes themselves will be much bigger, so it probably takes a lot longer to import them in the first place. So, lossless compressed all the way. Have a t-shirt, put a t-shirt on that says, I am lossless compressed.
The show returns in a moment. Now this week we're playing a conversation Kevin recorded with Martin Parr as a tribute to Martin, following the sad news of his passing last weekend. The interview was recorded during the period when COVID had shut down much of the world. Galleries were closed, travel was limited, and like many conversations at the time, this one took place remotely. And that matters in terms of context because you'll hear references that reflect this part of our history. Martin Parr, one of the most recognisable and influential photographers of the last 50 years, a magnum photographer, former president of the agency, and a figure who was so pivotal to British photography. So this is Kevin and Martin in conversation from that time.
It's interesting actually, because obviously I'm a member of the foundation, and we get sent these little clips of you talking about some of your famous or favorite photo books, I should say. Mm-hmm. And I was watching one the other day. I think it was Horatio Capella's book, Buenos Aires, and you were saying that he was something like 100 years old when you met him to sign that book.
103, something crazy.
Wow.
Or 96. I can't remember. It was near 100 anyway.
That particular book obviously is pretty special, and at the foundation you've got many books of many different photographers, but I suppose a lot of people know you for your kind of study of British culture and the British people, if you like, but the books specifically I think are really interesting to me and to our listeners, because we speak a lot about photo books, and I'm always telling people, buy more books, and look at them and keep them. And the thing for me about photography specifically, and this is something that I'd like to get your thoughts on, is this idea that pictures, I suppose pictures that you might take today might seem almost mundane, but in the future, whether that's 10, 5, 10, 15, 20 years in the time, that they then become nostalgic, right? And I think that's really the power of those photo books.
No, absolutely. So there's two things here. First, of course, you're right. I'm a great believer in photography books. I've done over 100 myself. I had a massive collection which has gone to the Tate, although, as you can see, I've still rebought some of the other books and collected some of these too. And you're absolutely right. There's a great value in documentary photography, and often things that appear mundane now become much more interesting in years to come. And that's one of the great powers of documentary photography. I mean, even down to things like, how we lay out our house. When we redecorate, we should always try and photograph the house, because it's amazing to look back as to how we used to have even our own environments in years to come. It's always fascinating. And all our cars, all these things like this that people wouldn't even think about really photographing, are very valuable material.
Right at the beginning, I guess, you started off with the, was it kind of like the Hebden Bridge project, I guess, when you were up there, and I suppose to a certain extent things like the non-conformists were the black and white style, and then there's this huge change in aesthetic to the more kind of colourful look. Now, was that? I often wonder whether that was down to technological changes or just that you wanted to do something different that perhaps everybody else was doing, or
there's a few things. I mean, first, we began to see colour photography being taken seriously in America with people like Eggleston, Stephen Shaw, and such like. And then Peter Mitchell had this very impressive show at the Impressions Gallery in York in 1979. And I think by then, when they introduced this new medium format camera, I thought, well, I'll get one of these and try it, and I'll change the colour at the same time. So it all fell into place in the early 80s, and it was 82 when I got that camera. And indeed, that was the same year I started the Last Resort project.
I think I read somewhere that you said you had this love-hate relationship with, I'm not sure whether Britain is the right word, or Britishness, or the class culture, I guess, perhaps. Is that true to say?
Absolutely. I mean, it's. I think of photography as a form of therapy, and I love this country, but there are things about it that I don't like, and I'm able, if you like, to express that contradiction through photography. It's one of the things I'm looking for, is the ability to have that ambiguity, actually shown as a single picture, and that keeps me going and it keeps me sort of on my toes, if you like.
I remember seeing you. I think the last time I saw you was at the bakery in Bristol, and I remember you said somebody asked you a question, and it was something like, "What's your favourite picture?" And I think you said something along the lines of, "That's like asking an author what their favourite page in a book was."
Did I say that?
Yeah, and that really struck a chord with me, because I thought, yeah, actually that makes a lot of sense, because a project, if you like, a series of pictures is a series of pictures. And I don't know, is that still your thinking on that?
I mean, it's difficult to single out individual pictures, but if I had to put one project together, it'd still be The Last Resort, which is a bit weird given the fact that it was taken over 35 years ago. But nonetheless, it sort of launched my career as a photographer, I guess, certainly beyond the UK. And we're on the 8th or 9th edition now, and it keeps selling a couple of thousand copies every year. So I have nothing to complain about.
I was looking at the website earlier at some of the photo books, and of course you've got lots of photo books on there from other photographers as well. But your, the first editions and the second editions and third editions, and you can see the price difference of the older editions, which I think is really interesting. And that led me to look up what I suppose it's quite a rare book of yours called Cherry Blossom Time in Tokyo.
It is quite a rare one. You're absolutely right. It was an album, in fact, if I remember correctly. So yeah, it has real photos in. So it's as much like an artist's book as a book itself.
Now, I remember, because obviously you're in Bristol, which is not too far away from Cheltenham, and when was the last time you were at the Cheltenham races? I think the ones on Magnum Foundation were 2016,
something like that. Yeah, I thought about going this year, but in fact I was put off, so I did think it would be dangerous, and it turned out to be the case. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's not far from me to go from Bristol, so I'll be back there sooner or later.
Yeah, I love it there also. I go with a bunch of friends, and I take my little camera, and I'm just interested in the people. And I also didn't go this year.
Were you there just now?
No, I didn't go. We did have tickets, but I chose not to go for obvious reasons. But it's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Because you see all these people who almost behave in completely different ways to how they would normally behave. The day before and the day after, they're in a different world.
No, absolutely. I mean, these great events are all part of the sort of British calendar or English calendar, that I like so much. And that's probably the only one that slipped through the net this year. Right
back at the beginning. So you talked about the Hebden Bridge stuff, but how did you first get into photography? Was it, did your father give you a camera? That's that whole story, or is it?
No, I mean, we're going to go right the way back to when I was a teenager, and I used to stay with my grandfather, who was a very keen amateur photographer, and he gave me a camera. We lent me a camera, went out shooting, processed the film, made prints. So by about the age of 12 or 13, I decided I wanted to be a photographer. I was in Hebden Bridge, 13, 14 years after that. So my photography history goes much further back than the Hebden Bridge work.
I'm a very relative newcomer to photography in real terms, 12 or 13 years. But
what took you so long, Kevin?
I was born and grew up in Newport, and of course the famous college there, the photojournalism college by David Hearn. And I used to drive past that art school every single day, and never thought about it. In my school, photography wasn't a thing. It was never on the curriculum. It was never anything that was ever mentioned. And that's like a huge, great regret of mine that wasn't put in front of me when I was younger. You were involved with it for a while, I think, were you, in Newport?
I was. I've known David Hearn for many years, and he used to, when I came back from living in Ireland in 1982, just when I was doing the colour work, he used to invite me there to go and do some part-time lecturing. So I got to know him very well, the course very well, and it was the most enjoyable experience.
When you're a member of Magnum, do the commissions come via Magnum? Is everything you do, does that have to go through Magnum, or do you have private commissions?
So any editorial commission has to come through Magnum. Even if someone comes to you direct, we might arrange the terms, we might arrange how to do it, and then Magnum does the billing and take their percentage. All stock sales have to come through Magnum, but with the rest of the things, it's really down to you. If you get the job, like a cultural job at the moment, you can keep all that income. But if you often get jobs like that also through Magnum. So really, and then there are group projects. So it's not exclusive on everything, but on the two key things of stock and editorial, we are.
There's a rich history, and the archive is there, and you have the photographers that are no longer with us, and then you have photographers like yourself and Alex Soth and Bruce Gilden, and you have people like Bruce Gilden who have very, very different style, and people have very different subjectivity about different images and different styles of photography, and I suppose that's the democratic part of Magnum, is the fact that there is so much difference there. No,
I think the variety of photographers you get in Magnum these days is one of our great strengths. We go from photojournalists right the way through to art photographers, and as long as someone's got a vision, a personal vision which they can express through photography, that's what we would be interested in giving someone making someone a nominee, which is the first level of membership. It takes 6 years minimum. So it's a long and laborious process. We have, 350 to 500 people apply every year. And if 2 or 3 get in, that's a big year for us. We only want the very best.
Yeah, no, well, I'm quite right. It makes sense. And, it's held in high esteem for sure. I was doing a presentation in Dubai, actually, and I can't remember the lady's name, but she was one of the curators for the Magnum online archive. And we got talking about things like Instagram and digital images, and how that will pan out for the industry, not specifically Magnum, but the fact that people can go to Instagram or a website and look at and consume the images long term. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm all for Instagram. I was a bit slow to use it myself, but if we want to get a message out about anything, Instagram is the most effective way of doing that. I have a Martin Parr Studio Instagram account, which has got over 500,000 people on. And then we also have a very growing and active Martin Parr Foundation Instagram stream. So I think it's a good thing. And ultimately, it's a very democratic process, Instagram, because anyone can start an account. If you're any good, you will start to pick up followers. But yes, of course, there's a downside to the internet whereby there's too many mediocre pictures out there. But hey, listen, that's the price. You only know a good picture by seeing bad pictures.
That's a very good quote, actually. Yeah, very good quote. Now, on that, you mentioned your Instagram feed for the foundation, and I was looking at that the other day as well. And you're during this lockdown, you're doing the photo challenges, is it? The Martin Parr photo challenges?
Yeah, we had a very good one this last week with haircuts, which was done a judging for. I think the results will be out either today or tomorrow, and then we'll be announcing the next one.
A lot of people. Right now, specifically with the uncertainty that we have, I think they've got one eye on will people be able to go back to work? Will they be able to commission work? And I think that before this even happened, people were concerned, I suppose, about the value that's put on photography. Now, I don't really mean that in a emotional or a contextual terms in terms of how you're shooting it, but how are people these days? People make less money and find it much more difficult to make money from good photography.
No, there's no doubt. It's going to be a tough market when we all get back to some kind of normality. It's a very competitive market, photography, as you well know, and some photographers are going to go out of business. There's just not enough work around. Obviously. Things like commercial, editorial, there'll be less money in the budgets. So it's going to be pretty difficult. So, good luck, really. It's not going to be an easy place to survive after this pandemic is over and we get back to sort of what we call the new normal.
What is next for you once we are allowed to go out and play again? What's I think I saw something about a book about Ireland. Is that on the cards?
Yes, we're just finishing that book off. That's looking pretty good. That'll be coming out later in this autumn, and then there'll be an exhibition next February, which starts in Limerick and then travels around Ireland, comes to the foundation before it goes over to Boston.
Now, when it comes to the books, how do you? What's the process of producing the books? Presumably, you've obviously got full input on it, but does the printing and the binding and is that something you take full control of, or is it in house at the foundation?
No, I mean this book is being done by Damiani. They're very good people to work with. They always print very well, so it's never a problem with them. We've gone through with a tooth comb the sequence of the pictures, the captions, the text. So everything's been done as a PDF over many mutations, if you like. And now I think we're all set to be printing, and it'll be printing over the summer.
And I think, like with digital photography, when it comes to doing something like a book and you're looking through your contact sheets and you're curating that must be much more difficult now than it used to be, perhaps?
No, because pictures get edited, and if they go onto the Magnum site, then they've already been through 2 processes of editing. So they must have something there, and everything's keyworded. So when I'm putting my book on Ireland together, and I was shooting there last year as well, I just put in the dates, the keywords. I remember some of the pictures, and they all come up. And it's no problem for me to work out which ones are good and which ones are sort of mediocre. So that's basically it. You put in the good ones, you leave out the ones, if in doubt, kick it out, is what I say. I wouldn't let someone else do the editing. I mean, I will work with an editor on a book once that book has been established, and we would check the sequence. They would look at some of the options that I've discounted, etc. And they would also be entitled to look at the work and put in ones that they particularly like.
When we think about the digital world and iPhones and everything else, and literally the amount of images that are being taken, and I actually think that that's not necessarily a bad thing, because whilst there's a lot of pictures that get taken that are not particularly great and may never be kept, I think it is bringing a lot more people towards creativity and photography, if you like.
This is where Instagram is very good, because I'm not saying the number of likes a picture gets is a sort of guaranteed symbol of how good the picture is, but it often has a big say in, people generally pick out the better ones to like. So it's a very good way of determining what pictures you've taken are actually working with your audience. Yeah. And of course, have a lot of bad pictures, and as I mentioned before, we need all the bad pictures to know the good ones.
In terms of commissions, what if you look back over your career, which commission do you think was the most enjoyable, perhaps?
Oh, that's a tricky one. I mean, I guess I've done quite a few what we call cultural commissions, where you're invited by a gallery to do pictures in a particular place, time, sequence, whatever. So over the years, I've done things like Oxford University. That was fantastic. I did a whole thing on that, the City of London, via the Guildhall in London. They've been very productive, because it gives me a chance fundamentally to work on my own work and someone else pays you. The Black Country I've done with Multistory. So if I'd have had to pick one of those out, that was a commission over a 4-year period, and that produced some really strong pictures. Because, basically, if you spend more time doing it, you're going to get better pictures, and that was the case there. So if I had to pick one, I would choose the Black Country work I did for Multistory. There's a book called Black Country Stories, which is a pretty good book, even though I say so myself, and I feel terrible even saying that.
I tell you, Martin, I have that book, and so I'll be happy to say to people it's a very good book. So do you ever find yourself sometimes thinking, you know what, today I've got to go and do this commission. I don't really feel like it. Does that ever happen to you, do you think?
Oh, really? I enjoy commissions. I like this idea of solving problems with photography. I find that an exciting process. And of course, if it's a commercial commission, you're being paid very well. So that means that you can, reinvest that money in your own work, put it into the foundation. So there's lots of things to be done. So I'm very happily going to go along, even if it's something that isn't the most brilliant project. I'm still going to enjoy it, because I like this idea of solving problems.
Yeah. No, I think that the foundation is it's still open online, isn't it, right now?
Yeah.
So books and membership and everything, and I'm a member of the foundation, so I'm really looking forward to kind of getting back to Bristol and looking at the exhibitions and the books and everything else that's there. And I think that in terms of the actual foundation itself, when it's just open to the public 6 days a week when it's open, is it?
No, 4 days a week. We're just about to change it from Thursday to Sunday, which is the same as the RPS, who are next door to us.
Okay, and it's at Paintworks, right?
It is in Paintworks, near to the centre of Bristol, yeah.
Finally, I suppose, Martin, thanks so much for your time. I would like to ask you, in terms of the people listening, what, is there any kind of advice you can give them? Let's just say they are a 17-year-old Martin Parr. What lessons have you learned, perhaps, and maybe what could you do to encourage them, given the world we live in now, to get up and try and make a living with their cameras?
Well, the first thing you've got to do is identify a subject that has some meaning to you, and then you have to explore that relationship, that actual connection that you have to the subject matter. And if you do that well, then you're going to get good pictures. It's as simple as that, really. So it's finding the right subject, something you care about, and then getting into it and finding the momentum to carry yourself along, and then the good pictures will reveal themselves. I mean, if you want to be a rich photographer, don't try and do things just for the money. You'll never succeed.
And that was Martin Parr in conversation with Kevin. Martin's importance to photography is hard to overstate. He changed what people felt was worth photographing, gave permission to look closely at the ordinary. A huge voice in photography, and one that will, of course, be very much missed. Let's return to this week's FujiCast, the final episode before Christmas. Philip Simpson, he actually wrote two in here, just to make sure. He sent one in on the 14th and one in on the 18th of November, this is. I assume the one on the 18th, it looks like it's slightly updated, so I'll read that one. Hi, gents. How accurate is the focus distance indicator on the rear screen? I'm using the X100 VI, and it's not anything near accurate. This sounds like a complaint letter, Kev. I've tried experimenting with zone focusing using the distance indicator. Epic fail. I've sent it away to Fujifilm twice, and it still comes back so inaccurate, it's unusable. Phil Simpson. And the emojis are fire engine, and water. It sounds serious, Kev.
It does. The answer is very accurate. But the answer to the question is, in inverted commas, no. Yes, it's not very accurate.
So it can't help him at all then, really?
No, not really. I mean, the closer up you are, the more accurate it will be. So, for example, really, the focus peak highlighting is more beneficial for people who are filming. If you're filming something close up, then the focus peak highlighting at a closer distance seems to be more accurate than if you're doing street photography and you're on f8, then it will seem like almost everything is in focus when actually, of course, it's not. No. The distance scale at the bottom of the viewfinder is accurate. That will be much more accurate. But the focus peak highlighting, I found them never to be particularly accurate at all.
Why don't they work on that?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if there's enough people who actually would use it, do use it in that regards. It is, focus peak highlighting is designed for people who are making movies, filming.
Yeah, which is the only thing I've ever used it for.
For micro focusing, manual focusing. So, yeah, I mean, I just don't know whether there's enough. I would imagine it's quite a complicated thing to put into cameras because you've got the complexities of different focal lengths of lenses, all that kind of stuff. So I can't imagine it's a particularly easy thing to do.
In his first email, he wrote, it's grossly inaccurate. I think he tamed it down for the second one. Phil, I'm sorry about that. I'm going to put you in the "We Can't Solve Your Problem" folder, which is just over there.
Can I ask you a weird question?
Go on.
Is Neil Ford in the office with you?
No. Why? I don't know. Let me look under the table. Are you in there, Neil? Because sometimes he hides in the filing cabinet.
Because...
No, he's not there. Why?
Because, he very kindly does the spreadsheet for us with
yes,
the questions.
He does. Yeah.
And I've only just opened that spreadsheet because the first question was directly in Facebook in front of me.
Yeah.
I've opened it up and it says Brian Goldsmith, and the question is in there. Hi, Kevin, do you shoot your black and white photos in camera and color? I didn't put that. So Neil will have put that in the spreadsheet within the last hour. However, more interestingly, in the answered box, it says yes. And on the episode date, it says 15th of the 12th, 25. And I have not put those. I definitely have not typed those in.
Well, and nor have I.
No. So that's why I asked if Neil was there listening live with us as we record, and he's updating this.
Well, that does what I mean. He does my IT, so I wonder if he's inside my machine.
He might be listening to our audio. Yeah.
How's he doing that? That worries me.
I definitely haven't just filled that in.
That means that he must be listening to me all day long. I'm a bit scared about that, Kev.
Neil, I've just answered Tom's question, Tom Flaherty, and I'm watching the spreadsheet live now. So if it updates in front of my eyes, then we'll know. If it doesn't, we know we've just busted him.
Yeah. That is weird. He's definitely not here, Kev. I mean, he does have access to my diary, but that wouldn't be anything. Oh, he might. No, I don't.
No way he could be listening. So I thought, well, hang on, he might be there, but I didn't type that in. That's very peculiar.
Yeah, that's a few strange things have been happening to me of late, like that. Think people are watching, Kev. That's right? Weird, should we do the bookity book? So this book is from a friend of both of ours, actually, Mark Seymour. Now, I know he loves India. He goes to India quite a lot, and he runs workshops out there as well, like what I do, Kev. But he's done a fair few workshops out there. And he made that beautiful, beautiful picture on the Ghats, didn't he? Which won him an award, I think. Was that one in Varanasi? I think it might have been in Varanasi. Pretty sure.
I don't know. Anyway, he has kindly sent a copy of his lovely book, which I have to return back to him, sadly, called Layers of India.
Sorry, hang on, Kev. Sorry, he sent you a book to review and he wants it back.
Well, yes, but I understand why. Because they are very expensive, which we'll get to in a second. He only has a handful of them printed. But he has sent us 2 of the zines, which is like a trimmed down version of it.
Oh, there's 2 there, are there? So
one for you and one for me. I'll keep yours on my shelf of all the other of yours that I've ever given to you.
Over the last 5 years, when stuff's been sent in, I must surely have a whole drawer of stuff.
There's about 25 mince pies.
I don't want in that corner. I don't want the mince pies. They'll look horrible, shabby state. But go on then, tell us about this book.
Yeah, so Mark, you and I both know Mark. He is, I presume he still is, a wedding photographer. But yeah, as you said, he now does, I don't know what you call them, photography adventures, don't you? So similar things, goes to India and takes groups of people with him and makes pictures and all of that stuff. I presume that's his primary income at the minute. Anyway, the blurb from the front, it says, India reveals herself slowly, which I really like that sentence. Not all at once, not loudly, but in layers. And then it goes on to say, this book doesn't seek to explain India. It doesn't need to. It simply invites you to look gently, closely, and without hurry, to feel the texture in every frame, the sense and rhythm beneath the surface, and to recognize the moments that often go unseen. And it is a really lovely book. It's a nice, solid hardback, beautiful pictures, obviously. Right across the frame in terms of the colors, they're vibrant, they're punchy. I don't know what he uses to take his pictures, Mark. I don't know. I know at one point he was.
I think he's a Leica man. I know he was in Nikon for a long time because he was one of their ambassadors. But
and then I think he flipped to Sony, and then I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, you're right. Sony. I think it's Sony. Sorry, I don't know.
Right. Either way, the images are lovely and really, really vibrant, and it is genuine kind of street pictures. I'm looking at one right now called Bicycle Man, Kolkata Flower Market, and it's a really nice frame using kind of the handlebars of another bike as a kind of focal point, and then you've got the 3 chaps in the background on their bikes. But overall, there are some kind of I wouldn't say stage portraits, but close-up pictures of people throughout the book. But actually, when you're looking through it, it does give you a very kind of a welcoming sense of India in terms of you look at these pictures and you don't think, well, that's not real. It's you see a lot of pictures from India where you just can't. I personally think, well, that chap sits there all day and people take pictures of him. It's not, that's his job kind of thing. But there's not any of that in this book. It's a beautiful book actually. I don't know how much time he seems to be always over there these days. Unfortunately there's no page number, so I can't kind of reference anything. But there's a really lovely image just over halfway through, which is a lovely portrait of this lady in a yellow and pink sari, and she's smiling at Mark with his camera, and there's an open door to the left, and inside that room is another chap who's also eyeballing Mark, not smiling so much, but he's got a big newspaper in front of him, and he's in his white clothes, this kind of sandals on and everything, and it's just a really, really lovely picture. And with those kind of lovely pictures, you also see the poverty and the struggles of a lot of people in India. And there's the kind of some of the pictures that you do tend to sometimes kind of see things in the background, or I do at least. So there's a chap here being shaved, and in the background is a camel, which he's being shaved on the street with a camel. And then a lot of pictures down by the river, people washing their clothes and doing their ceremonial stuff that they do. And then towards the kind of middle and back, it kind of, there's not that many words. There is some words in it, but there's not too much. But it seems like it's a bit of a journey in terms of city through to kind of riverside, and then countryside, more out into the countryside, holy men and all of the kind of stuff that comes along. But Mark is a really good photographer. We've always known that. And he's managing to, even in what seems like not particularly great light, he's understanding light. He's using it well. The light that is available in those places. So I'm looking at a page here where it's a lady. She's cooking over an open fire. The flames, the light from the flames is what is illuminating the lady. And then a lot of people would look at that and think, oh my God, I can't take that. The picture's too hard to take or whatever. But actually, he's obviously focused, or not focused specifically, but used the light to help him build that frame. And that open fire has got a wooden grate around it. And in the corner of that wooden grate is two cats just literally next to the open flames. So yeah, a really, really nice book. It is called, as I said, Layers of India. It's available on, I think you can probably find it on his website, Mark Seymour. We will link to it, of course. But it's published by Snap Collective. There's lots of other books on there as well. It is 129 euros. As far as I can tell, it's still in production. So if you are so interested in it, take a look. I am also sure that you'll be able to find many of those images on Mark's website. But yeah, it's really nice, a lovely book. And, well done to him for actually getting off his butt and creating a book, something a lot of people always say and then never do.
There's 1,001 pictures in one picture in India. That's the thing that stays with me, and I'm looking forward to in 2026 finding as well in Kolkata and Varanasi, because when you mention the cats in the corner and stuff like that, and there's a lot of the vendors on the street cutting hair, etc., beard trims and stuff. There's a lot of that, and I remember being sat in I think it would have been John that was Australian John who came with us, who had his hair cut on the very first day, and then they were saying to me, sit in the seat and have your beard dyed with henna. And I don't know why I thought, Kev, oh, that'd be quite nice, bit of brown tint to my beard. That would be very, very nice. I'll look 10 years younger, hopefully. What I didn't realise was what they meant was going to be orange. But fortunately, Lynn, who was travelling with us, said, you do know that's going to be orange, don't you? So I leapt out the seat just in time. But it is fantastic for that. You would absolutely adore photographing out there, Kev. I know you don't like to move further than Malmesbury, but
yeah, but you're quite right. I would. I can tell that I would really enjoy it.
Oh, you would.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll fit you in my suitcase, Kev. You can come with me. Yeah.
You didn't need a bloody big suitcase. A suitcase that has got a round front.
Oh, Kev, you're very unfair about yourself. I'm sure it can't be like this. Have you turned into Father Christmas? Are you like that movie? Who was in that? Tim Allen, who overnight used to turn into Father Christmas, and whatever he did, how much he he trimmed his beard or stopped eating cookies, the next day, boom, it'd be Father Christmas all over again. Have you turned into that?
No, I turned into Bad Santa. Have you seen that film? Bad Santa.
Yeah, Kev, you can't. Yeah, Bad Santa. Right. It's the last question of the year, Kev. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
It's from John Dilworth. Now, John Dilworth sent this back in April, so I feel like we should do it. But this scene is great because it's a snowy scene, and that's what caught my eyes. It looks like it could have really been something from now as we head towards Christmas. It's a fantastic picture of a loch, bridges, 2 bridges. It's snowing. There's snow on the ground. I feel like breaking into song. Greetings, gents. I shoot raw and fine on my Fujifilm cameras, X100 VI, XH2 and a new XM5. When I shoot with the built-in film simulations, I get a JPEG and a RAW file as output. Stay with me on this, Kev. When I shoot with a custom film simulation attached to a custom mode on the X100 VI and XM5, such as the really excellent ones by that Mullins chap, I only get a JPEG, no RAW file. If I shoot with the XH2, which has separate cards for JPEG and RAW, I get both a JPEG and RAW when I shoot with the custom film sim. Am I doing something wrong, or is that just the way it is, as Bruce Hornsby once sang?
Hold on. So a custom film simulation, if you've got a custom film simulation dialed into your camera and you shoot RAW plus JPEG, you will get both. If you are only shooting RAW, you won't get the JPEG with the film simulation applied. The X100 VI has only got 1 card slot, so your RAW plus JPEGs will both be on the same camera, same memory card. Whereas on the XH2, you've got 2 memory card slots, so you can set them to be RAW to one and JPEG to the other. But yeah, there is no reason. When he said custom, the thing that kind of pricked my ears was he said custom modes. And I wonder if he's talking about the custom modes such as the toy camera, pop color, all that kind of stuff, which you can get to on the X100. All the cameras have it. That doesn't save a RAW file as well. I'm not sure if that's what he meant, but you can't apply film simulation custom settings to those modes. So yeah, so yeah, no, there's no reason. Ultimately, there is no reason to not be able to save on the X100 VI your film simulation JPEGs and a clean RAW file as well. There's no reason you can't do that.
Well, on the show artwork for this one, we're going to use your picture because I think it's absolutely lovely, John. So you'll see this on the artwork we use for the show if you go to fujicast.co.uk. So there we go. He's got a saying as well here. Success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. Does that sound like your life, Kev? Well, that's it, Kev. Another year.
Yeah.
How many years have we been doing this now?
200.
I think we're looking remarkably good for ourselves then. That's it. See you in 2026.
No, that's terrible.
I know. Just one cornetto. Give me one resolution, Kev, that you are going to be sticking by in 2026.
Be less fat.
No, I said one that you're going to be sticking by.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, no, I would change my socks more often.
Change your socks more often. Oh, right. Well, that's it. Have a super Christmas, Kev, with the family, eating everybody else's food at other people's houses. Watch out! If Mullins is in your town, do not let him in. Your fridge will have nothing left in it by the end of the visit. By the sound of it, have a good one and enjoy. Are you doing anything for New Year, Kev? Are you a New Year partier?
Actually, you know what? I was thinking about that the other day. This is the first year really where the kids are fully independent. So I was thinking we'll probably go across to the 3 Cups. I think that would be really nice. I think they have a local.
Oh, well, it's just across the road. That's crawling distance back for you, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I can pick up my own home Wi-Fi in there. It's that close.
That sounds like the perfect pub. Well, have a nice one and see you in 2026. Bye, Kev.
The Fujicast is an independent Loading Zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.